Alright, we should now be live. Hello everyone and welcome to today's Blender live stream R&D session, where I'm playing with more attributes, view layer attributes, as we can see here. So I've been looking through the documentation, which actually I need to get booted up again, but I found out that the 3D cursor can be gotten. Any data that the 3D cursor has, like its location, rotation, not scale. I think it's mainly rotation and location, because that's the main things that are on it. But you can track those using the view layer attributes. So in the view thing right here, we can see that the 3D cursor has location, rotation, scale, and we can see in the Python tooltips, which can be enabled in the interface user preferences, we can see that it says bpy.data.scenes.cursor.location0. But if it has scenes in front of it, that means everything after can be gotten. So if we just put in cursor.location, as we have here, we can get that data. So since this is a vector, we can go and pull that from there. We can pull out just one float by putting a 0, so this would be the x coordinate, which, let me just... Oh, actually, wait. That should be working. Maybe... Oh, it's in the negative, isn't it? No. Not entirely sure why that happens, but maybe it needs to be the factor. Here, let me try that. Still getting the hang of it, but I think I'm getting closer to it. That's weird how the first one, having the full-on vector would work, but I'll figure that out another time. But we can get the rotation as an Euler, which I will showcase that. So if we put in rotation underscore Euler, we should see, let's see, is there no rotate? Let's see, rotation Euler. I got that working before. Let's see, XYZ Euler. Oh, there we go. Now it shows up. Now that's classified as an Euler. Interesting. Okay, now that's something that I haven't seen before. But one thing that we can do with the 3D cursor is that we can change the orientation to geometry. So this can essentially sample the surface normal of an object, which is interesting and I did not know about. But yeah, there's a lot of power with this, and I aim to exploring it to its full extent. Because also, we should be able to get this in the geometry node editor. It's just a lot more of a pain in the butt because we have to use drivers. So let's get a vector node. Because with drivers, we can't exactly get vectors, so I'll need to add in a driver. Set this to be summed value, just cause. Then dang it. Edit driver, yeah, this is a lot more annoying than the other one. Active scene, then let's put cursor dot location, there's 0. You know what? I'm just going to go and copy it from the part right here. So if I were to go and change where the 3D cursor is, we can see this part right here, and I could just go copy, and then edit, paste in here, and then we just need to chop out that part. Then maybe this part as well. I'll keep the scene in there. Nope. Ah, there we go. Okay, what did I just spell location wrong? But now we should be able to see, if I use a set position node, that this will put this, at least on the x-axis, where the 3D cursor is. Now previously you could only do this with node tools because the devs hard-coded that. But with this, we now have access to that just here. So let me copy that driver and then paste it here, and then I just need to edit it so that it's location 0, which is X, 1, which is Y, and Z, which is the other one. So let's 2 equals Z. So now if I do that, it'll just place that plane wherever the 3D cursor is, which could be useful for debugging. I could think of quite a few ways where you would be like, okay, now what's the value there? Now what's the value there? And so on. I kind of feel like we shouldn't have, like, this data available to us, but we have it, so why not? I'm also considering making either a right-click select post in order to hopefully get the view layer attributes into geometry nodes, simply so that we can get like object references in here by default. Because with our regular named attribute nodes, this is just a geometry attribute. While in the shader editor, we can get object and view layer attributes. But of course, in the shader editor, these are just limited to color, vector, factor, and alphas. While in the geometry node editor, it would allow, also you can do that, which is pretty cool. It would allow to get like parent references, like what's the parent of this object, which we can do. If I set this to, yeah, I should probably go over all the experiments I've been doing with this. So let's make a cube. And let's say you want to have a child of that cube and parent it to that cube. So now you're just playing around with this and you want a material, but you're like, I want this cube to get the location and scale of its parent. Well, how would you do that? Well, while using the object attribute node, we can go and get parent.location. And we should see that this should be at least, there we go, 0, 0. So right now, this cube is getting the location of its parent. So not its own location, the location of its parent. So we can do that, which is really useful. Let's go and get the scale. We cannot do this in geometry nodes at the moment, unless we, again, use drivers, which is getting the same information, but in a more convoluted and albeit annoying way. So there, the scale's also being transferred. That data would be very useful inside of geometry nodes. But unfortunately, we can't unless it's drivers. And as I've showcased with this one, having drivers is very inconvenient. One, because, well, this. And we can't, like, get object references in terms of, like, let's see, what was I saying? Let's go back over to here in the shader editor. So what if we just wanted to get the parents? So if I do this, we'll see that nothing really comes out, because I'm assuming, and I would have to double check on this, that it's returning us an object reference. So it's saying, oh, it's returning us this value. So we can't get that object data. It just doesn't, it's not a color, it's not that. I think it might be a string, potentially. It might just return cube 002. But in the geometry node editor, we have the ability to, here we go. We can use, like the object info node, we can get object data types. So if we had a view layer attribute node that could connect into there, with either that or one that could connect into strings or something of that manner, it would allow for so much more. Wait a minute. Oh no, we can't add drivers into there. I started to get excited for a second. Can we? Nope, we can't, yeah, we can't do that. Actually, let's copy full data path, and I just want to see what this does for a quick second. Let's see, okay. Wow, this is getting the entire data path. So we could get the data of this node simply by doing that, which I should probably use that a bit more often. That's a more optimized way than going into the scripting node. But yes, so much power, and I've only scratched the surface. We can get the active camera data, which I showcased in a previous live stream, but so much data just at our fingertips, but we rarely even use it, but we need to. But yeah, I think having the view layer and object attributes in the geometry node editor with all of their data types supported, that would be so powerful and would make geometry node groups so much more useful. Because with some nodes, like the deform curves on surface node, this one references the parent of the current object. And that's simple because it's just doing, you know, I'm assuming Python or C++, I think C++, stuff under the hood. But it would be nice if we had all that power just here. And another caveat with drivers, instead of just having a node that'll just reference it, is that when you try to Control-C, when you try to copy and paste an object into another Blender file, it'll copy the entire scene. So every object in here, it'll copy the entire scene and paste it into your world, which is really, really not good. You don't want to copy your entire scene when you want to copy just one object, even though appending is fine, as far as I can tell. Well, with these things, if you go and copy them, it won't copy your entire scene. I should probably double check that real quick, so I'm just going to, bear with me. Actually, no, that's referencing that, so let me copy you. Yes, you'll be better. I'm just gonna go and do a simple check real quick to make sure it doesn't copy over the entire scene. Just fact-checking live. Let's delete all that. Yep, it copies over just fine. There we go. Alright, so yes, I'm going to open up the documentation. Let's go into... Let's see, I favorited it. Where's my favorites? Bookmarks. Let's see, this should be Scene ID. Blender Scene ID. Blender. I was trying to show this on stream. Yeah, I think I can do that. Okay. So right here, I'm going to switch OBS scenes to this. So this right here will show basically any data that we can get under the Scene ID. So here we have a lot of things that are not useful, like active clip. We can't really get that. Doppler speed, audio, like remember that there's audio in Blender? We never use it. Camera, we can get the active camera thing and it'll output an object. So right there, the active camera node, if we had that in geometry nodes, just a view layer attribute, we could get the camera info in a snap. It would be that easy. But unfortunately, we have to go and, do drivers to get the data underneath that. We can get the background set. I haven't played around with that one yet. We can get the collection stuff, which usually outputs like lists of strings or enums. I forget which one. Cursor, 3D cursor. I showed that off. Cycles render settings. I've shown that before. I still don't know how to check which render engine is currently being used because its output is an enum. And I don't know how to check if an enum is true or false in the view layer attributes yet. Is my audio really loud? Apologies. Did it get a lot louder? I noticed it was going into the red on OBS. But yeah, display settings, all that. Some really useful stuff. Eevee settings. Frame currents. That's better than the hashtag frame driver because that one is... There's a 1 in 10 chance that it'll just start going into the negative for some reason. And I still don't know why that happens. You can fix it, but it's still really annoying. Frame current final. Haven't played with that one. Frame underscore end, frame float, frame preview end, frame preview start, frame step. Anything that is a type an integer, a float, or a boolean, or a vector, or a color, we can get in the shader editor. And maybe in geometry nodes with drivers by using the bracket 0, bracket 1, bracket 2 bracket to get each of the floats inside of those values, but I'm not sure. Getting the gravity might be useful for something, like if someone made a really complicated shader, or actually, wait a minute. That would be really useful for geometry node simulations because you can have it reference the actual data, the actual stuff. Grease pencil, haven't played around with that just yet, but if I were to click on it, it would show everything that could be done there. Hydra settings, which that I believe is the USD render engine that was included in 4.0. It's not really too useful for most people, but it's useful in some cases. Keying sets, not really. You can get stuff from node trees. So in theory, any data that I set in a node tree, I can go and reference, which maybe I'll show that off. Objects, we can go and showcase all of that. Render, I showed off a lot of those. Safe areas, that I believe that's a camera thing. The sequence editor might be useful, not sure. But this allows for a lot of, oh, simulation frame end. Interesting, that might be useful in GeoNodes. Timely markers, tool settings, transform, unit settings, yada yada yada. Use nodes, use gravity. So many settings are at our disposal. Oh, and world. We can get the world object color, which actually I'm going to showcase that right now. Okay, so let me just switch the scenes over once again. Okay, there we go. So let's showcase this. Let's have another object. There will be a lot of objects just scattered around at the moment. Let's have a new one. Let's go and use attributes, set it to view layer. And we can set this to, let me get the chat open again. Okay, good, that's all working. So now we can get the world.color. Now you might think, oh, this will get the current world color. It won't get it from the shader. That's still independent, as we can see here. That's still independent. It gets the viewport display color. Because to get the color in here, I would have to copy full data path and then paste that into there. And maybe it'll work? Here, let's see the entire string right here. So we just need to copy, take that out. I think we can take that out. Tree nodes, let's see. Nope, I think I messed it up. So let me go and undo that edit right there. So let's just go and chop that out. Oh, inputs. Oh no, that had to be there. Let me copy that full data path once again. Paste it in there. Oh, why? Oh no, so these are limited to 64 characters, which is a little bit dumb in my opinion. Or limiting. So there's more to that string that I just can't put there. So let me use a text object to see the full data path. Okay, B. Okay, so this is, oh god. Yeah. So that's the full data path. So what I was missing was just that and then default value. Was that it? Let's go and take a look at all that. Yeah, this is quite interesting. Inputs, yeah, node tree nodes. Let's see. I feel like that should. Like, I could copy over the strength, full data path. Inputs 1, and then I should be able to do that. Still figuring out the ins and outs of this, but it should be functioning. Worlds. Oh, wait, does that just need to be world? No. Let's chop this part out. Interesting. Input 0.default. Oh, do I need to put the default value into there? I think so. No tree nodes background. Maybe I could just reference that and it should be fine. So nodes input 1 dot default underscore value. Let's see. Oh, I'm pretty surprised that that's not doing the thingy. Oh, well, I won't worry about that at the moment. But currently, yeah, we can get the world object color, which means that for some reason, if you wanted to, you could sync it up with the viewport display world background, which is that only, interesting. We can get the mist past, start and depth and all that, volume and such, and any custom properties. So here as well, if I were to, let's see, worlds, yeah, if I wanted to get that value, I would just have to do this, world, quote, quote, prop. Is that correct? I think so. So if we do that, we should see that that updates. Yep, it does. So we can get all that in there, which is good. Alright. Do you ever bake out terrain height maps in Blender? I haven't yet. But it's doable. It should be fairly simple. You just get the Z coordinate of an environment, and then you just throw an orthographic camera at the top, and then you render. So let me move that over to here. What data are you referencing? Ah, yes, parent scale. Let's switch you to parent location. Because again, that's referencing this object's location, not that one. And also, this will chain. So if I do something like this and parent that to there... Where'd it go? Hello? I think that might have just thrown that cube far away. Ah, there it is. Okay. So this cube is referencing this cube, and this cube is referencing this cube. And if I throw the material onto here as well, we should see that this one is 0. You might be wondering, wait, why is that 0? Well, it's because it has no parents. It's effectively... well, there's nothing to pull from. But yes, that is another one there. Oh, and also, this one is referencing... not the global location, I don't think. It's referencing the... yeah, what the values that are in here. So that's good to know. But yeah, so many values at our disposal. When you say get the Z coordinate, what do you mean exactly? Geometry, separate X, Y, Z. That's a Z coordinate. So if this plane goes up, we can see that. There you go. So you can get a height map by literally taking the height of the object. Yeah. Oh, with this one, with this setup, it takes the object's current scale and then compensates, it scales the UV map based on that, which could be useful in several scenarios. So yeah. I find it really funny that I keep trying to center this when it's just like, no, I'm going where the 3D cursor goes. So in theory, like with geometry node tools, there's an official node for the 3D cursor. So let me go into the GeoNode editor. Let's switch this over to tools, new. So here, if we get the 3D cursor, we now have the location and rotation. Nice! We finally have an actual node for that. But this is just referencing the Python stuff. And now that I've figured out that we can get that with drivers and view layer attributes, this node is now redundant. It's nice to have because it's really convenient, but now we don't need it. And it would be really nice if we had the view layer attributes so that the regular driver method could be replaced with something even more convenient. But this would mean that the devs would not have to put in the data by themselves. It would mean that we would be able to put in essentially our own nodes because we have all the inputs. We won't have to wait, say, I don't know, over a year for an active camera node because one's in development, active camera object reference, but it's just kind of in a dead zone at the moment. As far as I know, it might be in 4.1, but by that point, again, you could either wait quite a few months or just do a driver setup. Which is, again, very inconvenient, but if you need it, it's there. So, I think view layer attributes would be a good compromise between those two. So yeah, what other data? Should I show? Yeah, I'll show active camera stuff. So again, that's a node that people have been wanting in GeoNodes for quite a while, with stuff like focal length and stuff. The current active camera node that might be becoming a thing would only have the object reference, not like the focal length, not the resolution, stuff like that. But with GeoNodes, here, let's get another, wait, why would I have a GeoNode thing on the camera? Oh, that's a modifier, that makes sense. So here we have the active camera switching from this one to that one. I'm just gonna organize the scene a little bit better because it's annoying me. Let's place you over there. Just by clicking, I can move an object. Like that's so fun. It's not exactly the most useful, even though with this functionality, I could make basically a point-and-click game using simulation nodes. An interactive game using this, where you just point and then like a character will move over there. I need to do that. So I'll do that later, maybe today, who knows. But yes, the possibilities, so many. So many possibilities. 3D viewport, I don't know why I closed out of that. Let's make you bigger so that we can see everything. Let's add in a geometry node to this plane, which is transform geometry. So let's go and get the camera location. So we need a vector and drivers once again, which, again, oh wait, let's get a vector instead. Which this is a pain to work with, having to add one driver per time. But since I had the other driver, I'm just going to go and paste that into there and then switch this from cursor location 0 to camera location 0. And I'll copy this driver, paste driver, and then edit it, switch this to 1, which we can see that updated, and edit driver, paste this to be 2. There we go. So now we should see that when I plug this into here, it's now where the active camera is. And then when we move this over, it'll switch to that one. So already, we have an active camera node. The Blender did, whoa. Just had a brain blip right there. Wait, why can't I move that? Okay. Oh, there's a hidden panel. Why is there a hidden panel right here? That was weird. Okay. So, yeah. For this, the Blender devs wouldn't need to implement an active camera node because we can have the data. So, that allows for a lot more flexibility. It's like, oh, is that data available? Well, if it's available in Python on the scene layer, then we can access it. So much more availability is possible. And I could also switch this to be... So another fun thing is that when you copy a node, the drivers don't copy. Another reason why view layer attributes should be in there. And that's what I will be campaigning for quite a while. But we can swap this out for Euler rotation. So Euler underscore, rotation underscore Euler. Rotation underscore Euler. There we go. I think that, yep, that's done correctly. Let's go and copy that driver, paste the driver, and paste the driver. Also, if you make this a node group, then you can copy it without it breaking. So let's set that to 1, and let's set that to edit driver. Let's set that to be 2. There we go. So now, if we plug this into here, I might need a... Oh no, that actually worked. As we can see here, it's now rotating and moving to where the active camera is, and when it switches, it works just fine. You could imagine how useful this could be for geometry node setups, especially when you have, say, forward-facing particles, where it's like, oh, the particles need to face towards the camera. For quite a while, I was like, wait, how do we do that? How do we make particles that always face towards the active camera? And you couldn't. You just straight up couldn't before I discovered this. It feels like a hack because, again, drivers, these ones are very scene dependent, while the other one, well, they're very dependent on the current scene. They actively reference it, which means that, again, when you try to copy and paste this object using Control-C, Control-V into another blend file, it would copy every single object in this scene, which isn't fun. So having just the attributes node that will just get it from Python, won't say, hey, let's copy over the entire thing, would be nice. Alright. This seems so much simpler. I was doing the same thing through Python, but as a non-coder, it only worked when it wanted to. Yeah, this basically means, hey, we can get all the data that's available through coding, but we don't have to code. That's kind of the entire thing behind geometry nodes. Like, we get the named attributes that you could get access to with the code, but you don't have to code. So it would just be named attribute, but instead of it being like this, I would like it for it to be a separate node, like scene attribute or something along those lines. So instead of named attribute, it would be scene attribute. Instead of having this drop down for vector, instead of only that, we would also have a thing there for scene, or no, the data type, which would be string, object, vector, rotation, quaternion, float, boolean, like all those. Having something that's meant for all those data types, like this node currently is nice. With drivers, they are limited to like floats, booleans, and well, vectors, but you need to implement each one at a time, as I showed here. I could be wrong about that, but I would have to double check on it. So having a node like this, which would be like camera dot position, if this actually, I highly doubt that this will work, but because it's not, this only references the geometry, not the actual thing. Which, to be fair, in the shader editor, we also have an option for geometry attributes. So if I put position into here, it'll reference the current geometry position, as we can see. So if we do that, if we put on the object, it will reference the object location, sorry. So if we do that, it'll reference the current object excuse me? Okay. Let's see, did I mess something up? Objects location. Yeah, no, that should be... Is that just because it's in the negative? Oh no, that's because it's technically still at 0, 0. It's not taking the global location into account. How would I do that? Vlayer, object locate... Yeah, how would I do that? Position... I don't know. That's probably in the documentation, but I would have to go and check on that. Actually, I can... Go and check. I'm just gonna scroll up to that. Here, let me full screen this and show you. So here, let's go over, let's try, so that's the camera one, but let's go into the object, which is O, so we have to scroll down. I went past it, didn't I? Oh, and there's also this one, the raycast thing, which I'm not sure how to use this one yet. I tried it a little bit, but you should be able to get result, location, normal, index, and then this. But I think it only fires when you fire a raycast, like when you're clicking on an object or something along those lines. So I'm not sure if that one is useful, but it could be for tools, potentially. World, oh yeah, we can check what went wrong with the world. So animation data cycle settings, missetting, use nodes. Oh no, that's not it. Here, let's go back to types. Whoops, this was wrong. So these are like all the kind of data types, way too much to go over. But here, scene ID, that's all the stuff that the view layer thing can get. Come on, where's object? Let's see. I've been looking at this text for so long that... there we go. So we can do scene objects, BPY propped collection of object. So let's do... I'll keep that one on another tab, but let's first go with scene. Nope, that's not it. RNA gets subclass. Let's go to previous. Nope. Nope. Scene render. Oh, wait a minute. No, that only puts... Disable or enable the render view. Oh, we can tell... Oh! That could be useful. I need to remember that. Okay, camera suffix, that's interesting. Okay, let's go back to the other one. The object, here we go, object ID. So this one is object ID. So all the data, this is all the data we can get on the object, quote unquote, domain. So active material, I've tried that before, active shape key, and such. So we could tell what percentage a shape key is active, which could be useful. Add rest position attribute, interesting. That could be the rest position thing. Interesting, I'll have to look into that. Bounding box, this one would be useful, but it outputs a multi-dimensional array. So unfortunate, actually wait a minute. Somehow, would I be able to, with the brackets, just take a look at value technically 0, and then look at 0, 1, and 2 on there? I think that might be possible. Dynamically getting the bounding box of an object in the shader editor without having to go through GeoNodes. That could be useful. collision, color, constraints, cycles, data, delta location. I still don't know what delta location and scale do. I know they're just like adding to it, but I haven't yet found it being done practically. Like even when you set a parent and then it compensates for it, I haven't seen that actually change the delta stuff. Display, object display settings for the 3D viewport. We can get all that data as well. What was I looking for again? I completely lost track. Does it not work in Blender 3.6 or before? It works in 3.4 onward. And with drivers probably even earlier. Yeah. View layer attributes were added in 3.4. So maybe almost a year ago? Let's see. Let's see. I should send you a copy of Serpents, my visual scripting add-on, and you can visually explore all these properties there and copy them from the UI. Interesting. I may consider that. The one thing is, since I make tools for Blender and stuff like that, I try to avoid from what you're saying there, it looks like that's just referencing stuff, not actually doing like animation notes or something along those lines. But with all the tools, I'm trying so hard to get this kind of stuff into default Blender so that a user's not like, oh, you have to go and install this add-on. You can just copy and paste an object into your scene and it'll just work. Like that's kind of the goal. You just put something into your scene and it just works with less hassle. Because that's good for productions and just hobbyists. We can tell if an object is a shadow catcher. That could be useful. And it could be any object in your scene. You can check, hey, is the floor an attribute? Is the floor a shadow catcher? If so, then do these settings. Location of the object. Simple enough. Rotation, lock rotation, lock position, and lock rotation's 40. Oh, that's the quaternion, isn't it? Interesting. Lock scale, material slots. This one's useful because instead of looking up your material by name, you can just look at the first one in the list, go into it, and see what values there are. And the matrices, unfortunately, we can't really get this data unless the bracket stuff works. I'll need to look into how the brackets work and if I can kind of nest them. The matrices are like location, rotation, scale, all bundled into one using complex math. Mode, we can check the object mode, but that outputs as an enum. And I don't know how to check if enums are true or false yet. That would be really useful if I can figure that out. Modifiers, we can find other modifier data. I think I'll showcase that. Parent, you can chain parents, which I think I showed in a tweet before. But you can do parent.parent.parent.parent.parent. As someone said, go through the entire bloodline of an object and find data. So that could be extremely useful in geometry nodes, but currently in GeoNodes, by default, without using drivers and all those hacks, you can't even get the first parent, which is unfortunate. Parent type could be useful, but that outputs an enum, which unfortunately, I don't know how to check. Maybe I could... Like, how do I check if an enum is true or false? Outputting a bool of an enum in the view layer attribute. Like, we've tried the equals equals and the equals and then that stuff, but it hasn't worked. And then, you know, tons of other stuff here. Shader effects. Oh, yeah, it's that thing. Okay. Show bounds. We can show all kinds of things. So yeah, so many things at our disposal that... You know, I just wish we can have in GeoNodes in an easier capacity. And we can also get all the children of this object. So maybe with the brackets, I can say, hey, child 1, child 2, child 3, child 4, which could be useful. We'll see. But that also is ripe for a dependency loop, which could be fun. Oh, we can get the scenes the object is in. Interesting. Well, so that means we can look at the object and then look up at the scene and then look down from that scene to get other data. Okay. Man, I'm really taking the long way around to get to know coding. This is fun. Well, this isn't coding, it's just looking through attributes, then chaining them together. Visible and viewport gets. Oh no, that's a different thing. So, oh dang. This is something. Crazy space eval. Oh wow, wait, this object thing is a lot more than I thought. Closest point on mesh origin. Find the nearest point of an evaluated geometry. Object space. I'm assuming we can't get that in the view layer. Is the bake node implemented out in 4.1 yet outside of zones? One, no, and the bake node is only supposed to be inside of geometry nodes. I think they're going to be calling it a different name so that people don't confuse it with that. But no, there's no... As far as I know, in the shader editor, there's no baked node. So, don't get your hopes up. There's only one, I think they're going to call it the checkpoint node, where you can kind of freeze a GeoNode's operation at one point. Technically, it's caching or baking, but it won't be in the shader editor. Okay. With our newfound knowledge, looking at the documentation, let's go and try to use it. So what was I going to do? Alright, so let's check if a certain material on an object has backface culling enabled. So let's go and, let's just copy data path, and let's see if we need the full data path. Let's see. Oh no, wait, we need the full data path, okay. So let's copy full data path. Let's try to put in here. It won't be enough. Copy full data path. And then what is this? Copy as new driver. Oh, wait. I could just copy that as a driver. Since when was that paste driver? And then let's look into here. Oh, okay. Oh, wait, but that's not in the view space. So, I guess that isn't the worst. Like, that's a lot more convenient than having to do the other thing. But still not as... This is very dependent on other things. So, let's delete that for the time being. So, let's set this to... We want to check for... Copy that data path. So, we want to... active material index... Oh no, we don't want the active one, but let's just do that. So if we do this, we should see when I click that. Dang it. Active material index, yes, use backface culling. So that is materials, and then that is objects active material index. As far as I know, that should be working, and I don't know why it's not. I've done this before. What are you? Objects. How do I tell the first material? That's active material index. And here this is material. Maybe I need to put in the brackets. Do, and then do. Copy full data path. Let's just do it the other way. Okay. Material 04, use backface culling. Okay. Try this out. Okay, materials, not material. Okay. So now we can check if this specific material is doing that. So if I were to rename it, as we can see, it'll break. So the thing is, how do we figure out which one it is? Well, we should be able to replace this with just an index. So that doesn't do that. There we go. So here, whatever material is first in the index, it'll go and check if that is occurring. Now I wonder how I would check like a self material so that if I have this on 100 materials, it'll go and check just that to see if it'll work. Because that would be interesting. Let's see. Yeah, how would I check? Material, how would I check? I can't get material attributes, can I? Like just, hey, this material, check your own one and see if you use backface culling. No, I should be able to. Let's see, data.materials. Oh, that's not in the scene context, is it? Shoot. Shoot, that's not the best. So let me copy over the name. Let's hope that this just could work. So, quote, material, I should just copy it. 0.003. Yeah, let me just go and copy that data path. No, not that data path. Copy full data path. Here we go. So it's material 003. I know, that should be it. But since it's not on the scene domain, I think that's why it's like, nope, not gonna do it. Intriguing. So this can't get the context of its own thing to see if that part is checked. That would be useful, though. Yeah. Okay. I made the fake depth of field node in the compositor, and I looked under the hood. It's basically just uses drivers to get the camera info. Interesting. Yeah, I did that as well to make my active camera node. Oh wait, the actual node basically uses drivers? Oof. I mean, yeah, that's kind of understandable. Alright. So that's interesting. So I could get that data just by checking the material index. But how would I tell? I could either just choose it by name, so this material will have its own name, but that won't update dynamically. If I were to try to use a driver value, like, let's just copy his new driver and then paste that into there. Then we edit this driver. Right now, it will be referencing that, but will that update? So if I change this to 2. Oh, that does... Okay, so drivers would be more useful in that scenario. But if I duplicate the material, would it do the same, or would it... Okay, no. Okay. So drivers are more useful in that scenario. Okay, that's good to know. Good to know. I'm just going to do that check again to see if it'll copy the entire scene. If I bring it over to here, into another Blender file. Oh no, it doesn't. Okay, that's good. So if it's not... Okay. So that is... good. So it would always reference its own context. So that's good to know. But I would have to set this for every single material I bring it into. So it won't... It's technically not referencing itself. It's referencing that material, but that material stays consistent whether I duplicate it or not. Which is useful. But I won't... Let's see. Would there be a way to just say, hey, look at yourself and check what that is? I'm not sure. Oh well. Let's go back into GeoNodes because drivers are looking a bit more useful. So let's edit driver. So here's active scene and active view layer. So as far as I don't know the difference between those two, but I need to figure it out. Okay, well that explains that. Invalid target channels. So if we do scene.cam... Oh, dang. That just doesn't work. Interesting. So it has to be active scene. Interesting. Okay, that worked for another scenario. But if I were to copy that and bring it into another file... I need to see if that was just a fluke. No, wait, why does that just work? It's not copying the entire... Okay. Oh, okay. So crisis averted, I think. So if we set the edit driver to be... Wait, why would it be active view layer, the thing that... I do not understand. Okay, well, I'll just go and test that. Maybe that's a 4.0 thing. When I was testing this, it was mostly in 3.6. So maybe that was a bug. Who knows? Who knows? I will test it to see what the limits are. Okay, so that just is gonna spin. Fun. Backface culling is off on. What other things should I do? Have you tried to add scripts in the drivers? There you can even combine two values. Interesting, okay. I would probably want to avoid that if I can. It would be like, okay, just get the data with the driver and then do the math outside of it. I think that would be better because here, like, people don't know what this is. That's another disadvantage of drivers. You can't see what they're referencing at a glance. You have to go and edit the driver and then check, okay, that's what it's looking at. And so on. Interesting. I really, like, here, let's go and get that object info node again. Unfortunately, we can't, like... We can't input a quote-unquote driver value into this. It would have to be like a souped-up version of the named attribute node, or like the view layer attribute node, in order to get an object data type and then port it into there. So that... I wish... Drivers can't do everything, unfortunately. I wish there was just one node that would rule them all when it comes to this kind of data. But drivers seem to be limited to numbers in this case. They can't do object ref... Could they, though? Object... Yeah, the only output that we have for an object data type is self-object. Which I'm assuming... What would be... Oh, self! That's... Dang it, that's... Okay. So object, we can get the self-object. But what if we could get material self? I highly doubt this will work. Yeah. Would it be material.self? I know that something along those lines could do something along that. But I'd have to check about that. I know self might work. But yeah. In GeoNodes, once again, like over here, the self object input. Now this, I'm assuming, is just doing a Python thing. Just getting, you just type in like, I don't know, like what would it be? You would just get the object thing and then it would output the object reference. So this is an attribute, just an object-based attribute. And then here with the object info node, oddly enough, you can't get that much information. You can only get the location, rotation, scale, all of which you can do with the drivers. But you can set it to relative, which I guess is an optimization. And then you can get the geometry output, which you can't do with drivers. So, yeah. So having a driver set like that is a souped up version of a node. This one's very limited. This is a lot less limited because, again, we can implement, instead of just self-object, we could get the parent object, we can get the active camera object. So many possibilities compared to this. So, yeah. It's, the downside, again, being that we don't have the original and relative, but I could fix that using, like, comparing the camera location to the plane zone location using drivers. So this would be great for convenience, but yeah. Oh, there's transform space. Wait a minute. Would I be able to change the transform space of the driver references? Interesting. I'll take a look at that. Also, I do find it funny that I just have that floating around in there. Wherever I place the 3D cursor, the plane will follow. That's so funny. So hacky as well, but funny. So yeah, let's play around with this some more. So I'll make a line, a curved line. I wanted a curved line. Let's get a curved line, then set the endpoint to be there. So here, as we can... Huh? Wait, what is this? Oh no, that's going to the active camera. So right now I just made a ray that'll go to the active camera. Could be useful for stuff. Like if you wanted... Oh, we can't even see it because, again, it's just a line. Yeah, let's see. What was I doing? Right, here, let's go and put that curve line. No, curve line. Dang it, I did the wrong way around. Whoops. There we go. So this line will go wherever I place the 3D cursor, which means that with simulation nodes, here, I could put in a little setup. So this will be very hacky, keep that in mind. That'll be fun. So let's use a simulation zone. Simulation zone. There we go. Okay. Let's put the curve into here. So I'm going to make I'm going to make it so that the curve, the set position, the endpoint will always be where this is. Or wait, I'll make it so that mixes between there. So mix A and then mix between the current position. So wait, flip that around. So we're getting to hacking levels that shouldn't be possible in Blender, but here we are. So this will mean that it'll transfer over to there over a few frames. So let's do that. So as we do this, oh, and we can't even see it because of, oh right, we wanted only the start to do that. No, the end to do that. I'm tripping over everything because I'm just thinking way too fast for my brain. But here we go. Wherever I place the 3D cursor, that will go. And actually, maybe I should have just used the transform node. Yeah, I should have probably done that. So I'll just use the simulation zone. Actually, could I use the simulation zone for a single value? I can, can't I? So using the transform geometry node. So if I do this and then just make it so that the only output is, yeah, oh, okay, I can, good. And just place that into there, place that into there. Oh, okay. I keep forgetting that the simulation zone can deal with singular values. I guess it's just because there's a default geometry input. So if I do this, this will mean that the plane will just move over to there, and it's very fast because we're not moving the geometry in the classic way. We're kind of moving the object. So again, there, 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 there. So again, the basics of making a game. And I could do some fancy stuff, but maybe I'll save that for another time. So again, just place the default cube wherever you want, and then it'll go to there. This doesn't feel like it should be possible, but it is. I wonder what else I should do. Because again, this is compatible with like going to the active cameras. Any object is within my domain at this point. What else? What else? I could make this a swarm, so I could have thousands of points all trying to go towards an object. Actually, yeah, I'll do that. Let's have some fun with this. Enough testing around with the documentation, let's have some fun. So let's just have tons of points. Or actually, wait, let's keep you here. So I'll just have this one running in the background. But let's go and have another object similar to the previous one, but let's just duplicate that. And then make it so that, sorry, I had another cache clear. Okay, let's take that out of there. So, yes, we want lots of points. So let's have tons of points placed randomly, and then those points, according to like a noise field and all that, will try to move towards the target location. So I'll have to do a, you know, classic simulation setup. So please bear with me while I do that. Okay, I'll go and remove the position input because I'm just going to use named attributes for all that. Let's have all you in random positions. That'll be good. Okay, now let's go and make a velocity and set position setup. Set position, so vector, do. Okay, vel for velocity. That should be good, and then get that named attributes, and then have that be put into there as the offset. Okay, so now we're going to get the offset to the position, and then that'll go and affect the velocity. So I'm just going to scale that down by a bit so that the particles don't go into infinity and beyond. Add it into there and do that. Let's also scale you so that you'll take more time to get to where you need to go. Okay, so here we are. Once this starts up again. Okay. Where? Wait. Oh, there's only one particle. That explains it. So here we should have 1,000. 100, it's fine. 1,000 particles trying to go there. But now let's add in a noise field to make it, you know, a little more special. Let's go and do that, put all this into frames and such. So let's just have a noise texture, and I'll turn off normalize because we now have that opportunity. Oh, also, there's a new part to the noise texture because Musgrave is being retired. There will no longer be a Musgrave texture in Blender because it'll just be merged into the noise, which I'm still a bit mixed about just because, you know, we have very few nodes as is. And we're just losing more of them. Alright, so we have this. So the particles... Oh, wait. Alright, I need to turn the cache off. Because, you know, the cache likes to be set in stone. Actually, you know what? I'll vector rotate this. So that it'll have to affect it, the velocity. It won't just get glossed over. So here... still not looking too great. It should be... Why is it not acting the way I want it to? Here we go. We have that. Too powerful, is it? We have that. Oh, the noise is just still too big. Interesting. Okay. So there, it'll try to go over to where the 3D cursor is. Still, not good enough. Here, let me lower it. Maybe it's just that it's going over too fast. Maybe that's the problem. The particles are going over there, but it's... You know what, I'm going to throw on a normalize, so that there will be a max speed for how fast the particles can move towards the 3D cursor. There we go, so they'll need to take that much time, and then they'll go over to there. So let's set that to 1. Oh, now we're getting somewhere. So now they're trying to get there, it's just taking a while because I'm making them take detours with the other thing. So they're trying. But maybe just adding the velocity would be good again. So let's try that one once more. Wow. Let's lower the strength on that. Let's see, maybe lower the detail, set it to 0.2. There we go. So there, and then it goes over to there, goes over to there. Yeah, but it just gets too in sync. I'm not the happiest about that. Oh, it's orbiting. Interesting. It's cool, though. It is cool. So I think the rotation might be better. So let's set that to 1. There we go. And then it just tries to go there. And then once more, they're too regular. So let me hit it with the random value velocity dampening. So let's set that to 0.9 and 0.7. So there we go. So here they'll never be regular because their settings are different. There we go. All being affected by the same noise field, but they just go wherever I choose. Not the flashiest effect, but it does work. I kind of like how it has to take a detour every time, because it's like, oh, you're so close, but you just can't go there. Every day we step closer to implementing, like, games into Blender, which you shouldn't do. The Blender game engine was retired for a reason. Blender's nowhere near fast enough to be an actual game engine. It's nowhere near that fast. Blender should not be a game engine. But for cool little experiments like this, it's fun. And the data that we can get from this could be useful for stuff like tools. Again, the Blender devs implemented the 3D cursor as a node, specifically for purposes like, well, not like this, but again, if you want to like snap something to the 3D cursor as a tool. But we could do that already with drivers. As far as I know, we can't get like the view position with drivers. Like the current view position. I'll need to check on that. Like maybe you could? No, you probably should be able to. Is there a Python reference for that widget? Well, not the widget, but, you know, I'm assuming that's referencing the, you know, the camera position. So that should be able to be gotten, but I'm not sure. Alright, we're past an hour. Let's see. Oh, wait. Oh, if I can script... Oh, okay. Wait a minute. As you said with the drivers, you can script with them. So I was wondering, wait, oh, could I tell if an enum is true with the driver? But now that not that one. Let's add a driver. Like, you could script with it. But the problem is the variable that's output is a value. It's not, it couldn't be an enum, I don't think. Because again, we're driving on a value node. And we can't add a driver to a string input in GeoNodes, I don't believe. Oh, and I could also do oh, right, transform space. Okay. So actually, yeah, that's maybe a bit more... It's an object. And how do I check the self object? Rotational difference. Oh, okay. Man, why don't we have these nodes in GeoNodes? Like here, we're limited to the object inputs that we have. Distance between two objects, well, we could do that. Transform space, local space. Interesting. Coming from GeoNodes, like, all this stuff feels like it should be in there. Transform channel? Transform channel. Wait. Edit driver. What is this? So context property, active scene. This can get all the other data. Sorry, I think I've been streaming for too long. I think that's why I'm tripping over all of this. But I'll look into it more. Drivers seem to be very useful, even though they're still rather limited with the data they can output. Again, why view layer attribute node in geometry nodes with object reference outputs, with texture reference outputs, with string reference outputs, maybe even enums when those come along. That would be the best case scenario, I think. But for now, we'll deal with the clunky driver UI. Which, it's not that bad, it's just a hassle to go, okay, edit driver every time you want to edit it. While with the named attribute node and the view layer attribute node, it's just, okay, you can see what data it currently has right now, what it's referencing, and then you could just go and type it. No sub, you don't have to go 3 menus down to find it. So, yeah, my hopes for the future of geometry nodes. Because it seems like shaders have them all figured out. Except for, again, finding enum values, which is probably possible, but I just need to figure that out. Alright, thank you all for watching. I'll just call this here. Just cause, you know, we have, I did the experiments I wanted to today. Again, just having the 3D cursor as a dynamic input and then having simulations go and chase that, which is so funny. That shouldn't be possible. And the shader is also, again, following the 3D cursor. And because the delay happens, we can see it adjust to go into that place. Over here, we have all these objects are referencing their parents' scale. I could make, or no, location. I can make it so that they track their parents' scale as well. So, wait, which one is it? Yeah, this one will reference this one's scale. So as that one gets brighter, that one gets even brighter. And then when this one scales... Wait, which one? Okay, yeah, when I scale this one, that one gets brighter, and so on. But yes, I should probably... Would it be location.transform for that? Location... Let's see, how would I get that? Transform location. I need to look in the driver, or the documentation for that, because I assume if a driver can get that data... then the view layer attribute can as well. So edit driver, or no, let's have another value node, implement another driver, change it to, yeah, transform space. Transforms don't include parenting / response to or constraints. Okay, so this would be useful to have in GeoNodes. It very much would. And then local space, this one is, transforms include effects of constraints but not parenting. Okay. Then world space. Transforms includes the effects of parenting. Okay. So these ones I assume can be gotten. But maybe I'll need to look. I'll need to check that. And I'll just check that as soon as I go off stream. But I assume that it's possible just to get that data with as an attribute. Alright. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you all next time. And if you have any discoveries about useful tips to do with this, let me know. Just like tweet at me on Twitter or something along those lines. Because this could be very, very useful if I can figure out all of its power. Alright, see you all next time. Have a good one.